And we're coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app, good Tuesday morning. An exciting Monday night game and a shocking loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. They had so many opportunities to win that game last night, and Drew Lock comes back in dramatic fashion and has the best moment of his career and something he will never forget on national TV, and wins the game in the waning moments. And now the Philadelphia Eagles are officially reeling in the NFC and on a legit losing streak, so that shakes some things up in that conference. The Knicks have a great win last night in L.A. We're still waiting on baseball news. Of course, we've got the Aaron Rodgers stuff that is still looming as Rob Saleh continues to pump life into the story that Aaron Rodgers could still play when he could have just shot it down yesterday and said, the guy's not playing, guys, stop. But no, he says Aaron wants to play, so we'll see. So now there's more life into that story. We'll find out what Aaron says on Pat McAfee as this thing just continues to have life when it shouldn't have life. But, man, what a football game last night. I mean, I don't normally feel good for guys like Drew Lock and the Seattle Seahawks because I don't normally care about him and that team. But, like, after that game, I was like, good for that guy, man. Good for him.
And he gave a great post-game interview,
He did.
too.
By the way, good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. I think I'm getting Jerry's cold, I think.
Oh, God,
But
are you serious?
But I'm fighting it. Listen, I got a crushing immune system. I'm just going to eat it. You know
You're
going to
eat it?
So here's the thing.
You're going to eat that cold?
Right, I'm going to eat that cold, man. Here's the thing. A couple things. You touched on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Number one, Detroit now has an opening to get to the number 2 seed. I don't think nobody's overtaken the 49ers. No matter what happens to the 49ers next week between them and the Ravens, they'll remain the number 1 seed. But Detroit, if they beat Minnesota next week, they will be the number 2 seed. No matter what Dallas or Philadelphia does. Even if they win Dallas and Philadelphia, Detroit will jump both Dallas. Well, they already are jumped over Philadelphia because Philadelphia is the wild card, but Detroit will jump Dallas to the number 2 seed. So that's an opportunity for Detroit. Here we are with the last 3 weeks of the regular season left to go, and that was a demoralizing loss, to say the least, for Philadelphia. And going into the game, we wondered about Jalen Hurts and how he was going to feel. You remember he flew out there on a separate plane because he was sick. There's nothing worse than flying across the country feeling like he felt, and they scored on their first drive, and you're like, okay, he looks okay, he looks fine. But I think as the game wore on and the whole thing just got ugly and uglier and uglier, and they just couldn't do anything offensively, especially in the second half. And, 92 yards to go, Drew Lock does it. The defense collapses at the end, led by Matt Patricia, by the way. Although they had a good defensive game plan, I thought they played really well until that last 92-yard drive.
Yeah, and I really thought that the Eagles were going to take command of the game. They go up 7-0. They're back in the red zone, and then they get stopped on that third down, have to kick a field goal. It felt like it was going to be 14-0, and they were just going to cruise. Ends up being 10-0, and then here comes Drew Lock and that Seattle Seahawks offense to make it 10-7. And then you're thinking, okay, it's now a football game. And then, 2 opportunities there in the fourth quarter where the Eagles have the ball, and you get that pass, that long pass down the field where Jalen Hurts takes a shot, and then you've got Julian Love with his first of 2 key interceptions, the one in the end zone, and then they get the ball back again, and they can't do anything with it after a 3-and-out from the Seahawks. And then you're thinking, man, 92 yards, Drew Lock, is he really going to do this? And he does, as him and DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba make these incredible plays to go win the game at home. I mean, it was shocking. I mean, this was almost as shocking to me as what happened with the Titans and the Dolphins a week ago. Not quite, because that was a 14 points with 4.5 minutes to go, and the Dolphins were at home. But this was almost as shocking because there was so many opportunities for Philadelphia to slam the door shut. And you're also talking about Drew Lock, who has never had a moment like this in his career. And he was always sort of looked upon as an immature kid who never really got it. There was always knocks on him about his preparation and his football smarts and all these things. And he's just been knocked around in the league. No one's really respected him all that much, and he comes across great on the field and then off the field after the game, saying all the right things, thanking his teammates, really being humbled by this experience and being emotional for winning this game at home and being a guy to step in a critical situation and keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right back in the mix now at 7-7.
Well, here you go. It's the year of the backup quarterback, and it has been. The regular season is the year of the backup quarterback. We'll see what happens when we get to the playoffs, how many guys or how many teams are playing with their backup quarterbacks with 3 weeks to go. But, the one thing I will say, I think that, Jalen Hurts kind of lost a little bit as the game wore on. You could just see he was wearing down. And I don't know where he was mentally, given the fact that he was dealing with, it sounded like a severe flu is what it sounded like to me. So not fun situation for them, and certainly they're going to have to get their act together, and I'm sure Nick Sirianni will get them going. They still, they have the Giants twice, and they got Arizona, so they have a very good chance of still getting the NFC East crown, which would most likely give them the number 3 seed in the NFC playoffs. So there's still a lot of ground to gain and a lot of opportunity to gain that ground because, Dallas on the road, this week they're at Miami. This is not going to be a pretty sight for them that hasn't been on the road all year long. So they lose this week. Philadelphia wins this week. Philadelphia's back on top in the NFC East. But if Detroit wins and they beat Minnesota, then they are the number 2 seed in the NFC, which is amazing. So that goes to show you how long the season is and how many things can change just in a 2-week period. Now, you also mentioned the Knicks. The Knicks got a problem. The Knicks need a center. Jericho Sims got hurt last night early in this game. I was flipping back and forth, and I turned it off when it was 55-50. I had to go to bed. I couldn't.
You are.
I mean, what?
You're a maniac, man.
What do you mean?
You're staying up so late.
I wanted to see what it was like against the Lakers. They did win the NBA Cup this year.
I know, and they raised the banner last night.
Yeah, it was awesome. They raised the banner, and it was great. And the Knicks were in there, and they housed them. And good for Julius Randle, and good for Jalen Brunson, who's turning into be like an unstoppable force. I mean, he's amazing. And but they have problems at the center position. I mean, they signed Taj Gibson. I didn't even see that. I didn't even realize.
You didn't realize that?
I was what the hell's he doing out there? I must have missed that.
I mean, Tom Thibodeau's going to keep that guy around for the rest of his life. I mean, where's Tom Thibodeau is doing.
Where's Joakim Noah? When you need him.
Yeah, seriously. But no, Tom Thibodeau will not let Taj Gibson get too far away. I mean, Taj Gibson is Tom Thibodeau's homing pigeon.
Well, you know what? They gave him 6 minutes last night, and they needed every bit of it, although they didn't play that well when he was on the court. But they have a real problem. I mean, they're saying that Mitchell Robinson's not going to be evaluated for another 7 to 9 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect to see him anytime soon.
Oof.
Yeah. I mean, this is why.
That's why this is a great win last night.
Oh, no, it was a great win. And they've got issues. Defensively, they've been the worst I've seen them since Tom Thibodeau came here and was the head coach so far in the regular season, and are not playing the same type of defense. And I think they need to find a way to make a deal sooner than later. And maybe it's centered around Evan Fournier to bring somebody else in to help that big man situation that they are desperately.
Fournier
keeps. Yeah, I mean, this is what I told you before. He's a guy. There has to be a team out there that's got a similar situation where they got a big man who's not getting minutes, who maybe fell out of favor, and then you got a team. That team needs some 3-point shooting help. That'll have him come off the bench and hit some shots, and then you just swap it. You got to do something. I mean, it's just such a waste to have this guy on the bench. Anything. I mean, you have to be proactive with this situation, especially now with Jericho Sims' injury last night.
How about if you were Evan Fournier, and literally for 2 years you're doing nothing. You're just practicing. He's lucky to get a minute a game or 2 minutes a game in junk time.
Yeah, garbage time, Evan Fournier. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing what's happened to him. And if you were him, how would you feel?
I'm not so sure. I mean, I probably would be frustrated, but at the same time, the guy had a $70 million contract and he's just sort of chilling and he's got the best seat in the house. Which you could be doing worse things.
Yeah, you know what? You want to play, man. You want to be out there playing. And it's not about him playing for the Knicks. I understand that Thibodeau doesn't want him out there. Thibodeau's got him buried on the bench, and he has not, had one real peep at all. Most players, that would have signed that contract, that would be sitting on the end of the bench, would be screaming and yelling about being traded.
Yeah.
Now, maybe behind the scenes, they have tried to trade him, and it just hasn't worked out. Who knows? I have no idea. But, man, I'll tell you, if you are the athlete, you want to play. And he wants to play. That's all I can tell you. He doesn't want to sit on the end of the bench. And I'm not saying he should be playing for the Knicks. I'm not, don't confuse what I'm saying. I'm just talking about the way that the athlete feels. And, you say, yeah, he's got the $70 million guaranteed contract. Who cares? He's got a lot of money. He's made a lot of money. And basically 2 years of his career are completely gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's got to be frustrating for him because when he was brought in here, that was a big deal. I mean, that was a miserable offseason for them. They had Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, and neither one of those things worked out after that playoff series. They got wiped out by the Atlanta Hawks. They went and got those two guys, and it's been a mess. But, I mean, this team needs to be better defensively. They've got to find a way to get another big man, and they also need to find a way to get a star. Now, there are rumblings, once again, that Donovan Mitchell could be available, and the Cavaliers are not going to end up keeping him long-term, and that this guy wants to be in New York one way or another. And also the Brooklyn Nets are also interested in him. So maybe, once again, Donovan Mitchell is the guy that comes here and completes the puzzle for the New York Knicks.
But they need a center.
No, I understand that, but
need Donovan Mitchell right now. They need a center is what they need.
But that's short term, and Mitchell Robinson is going to come here at some point.
By the way,
come back at some point.
Every year Mitchell Robinson's hurt.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean they also. But everybody agrees they need another big time player to be able to be in the conversation to get to an NBA Finals or an Eastern Conference Finals or something like that. So those are the two big issues that they have. But it was a nice win last night, and you feel good that you can ruin the banner hanging of the NBA Cup. Since we're just bouncing around everywhere.
The NBA Cup, yes.
The NBA Cup.
Well, you brought up three things. I touched on three things.
Yeah. So here's the third thing I brought up.
All right, go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
Why can't Rob Saleh just shut this thing down yesterday?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why can't he just shut it down? So he's asked about Aaron Rodgers. So correct me if I'm wrong. Wednesday, meaning tomorrow,
yes,
is the final day before they've got to make a decision on if they're going to activate Aaron Rodgers or close that window. It's tomorrow.
Yeah, so they activate him, they put him on the roster, and then they, deactivate him for the games.
But why would you make him active?
Just because, who knows? I mean, I don't know what Aaron's deal is with Arthrex. I don't know what his deal is with Neil Elatraj. I don't know what the story is. He's pushing this thing to say that he's coming back and that if they, I could see him coming out and saying, if these games meant something, I could play. That's the next thing that's coming. If these games meant something, I could play. And that's going to mean that this surgery in this company is just awesome and off the charts because one of the greatest quarterbacks of his era would have been able to come back had the team been able to hold up their end of the bargain in the playoffs. It's to me, it feels and smells and looks like a real financial thing for me. That's I don't know. It's just kind of like the way I think about it and the way I see it, the way this whole thing is unfolding in front of us, the amount of time he's talking about it, the amount of time he's spending on the practice field, the amount of time that he's talking about his rehab people and everything else. I just feel like there's some do-re-mi on the other end of the line for this. It just does.
Yeah. I mean, there's really no other reason except for Aaron Rodgers' ego to say that he was the only person to do this in the history of Achilles rehabs for him to come back. There's no other reason. It doesn't benefit him. It doesn't benefit the Jets. I mean, there's nothing about this that makes sense other than the fact that he can sit there and say, look, I did this, and this is the company that did it, and we are the greatest, and it's just a whole big pat yourself on the back situation.
Financial situation. And to me, I would not, again, I don't have any inside information. Nobody's telling me anything about that. I just have a sneaking suspicion that that's what it's all about. That's and good for him. I mean, if he can make money doing this and getting paid without even playing, if in fact that's the case, I would be surprised. I really wouldn't be. It's just too much promotion around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and also, so Rob Saleh says exactly this. He goes, Aaron wants to play. Let's not confuse that one. That's why he's been working so hard to get back. His willingness to play, even if he's not 100%, is at the forefront of his mind. He wants to go, but until he's actually cleared, I'm not going to talk about it with anybody, end quote. So, I mean, this is exactly what we've been talking about the entire year, is that even if the Jets themselves think it's the dumbest thing in the world for him to come back, if Aaron Rodgers walks in there and the doctors say, yeah, we think he can go, and Aaron says, I want to play, he's going to play.
No,
If he says that, they're going to he's going to go out there. The Jets don't have the balls to tell him no. They haven't told him no with anything this year.
Again, whatever game everybody's playing here, putting him on the field in meaningless games at the end of a year in which your offensive line is in tatters, your quarterbacks have been getting beat the crap out of.
You're telling me the Jets aren't capable of doing something this stupid?
Well, I hope they're not.
Yes, they are. No, they're capable. They're that dumb. You know it. I know it. They are that dumb to do something like this.
Well, they haven't done it yet, have they?
But they haven't. But don't tell me they're not capable of it. There's a couple organizations in sports that are dumb enough to do something like this, and the Jets are right there at the top of the list.
They haven't done it yet. I don't know what game
they're
Jets, playing. I have no idea
the Browns,
what game they're playing.
Yeah.
It would be, like I told you yesterday, it would be the dumbest thing ever that the Jets could do would be allow him to play. And I don't believe that the doctor's going to allow him to play. They'd be look. The last thing that Arthrex and Dr. Eltraj want is him going out there and blowing this thing back out again.
Well, okay, but the thing they want more than anything is to say, look, we are the leaders in the field. We have turned the entire Achilles rehab upside down and have now done something that no one else has done. They also can benefit from that. The Jets have, every time we think the Jets can't top themselves with absolute stupidity, they do. They find another way to do it. And this would just be another one of those things.
All right, so I'm still holding steadfast that this is not going to happen. And you are saying that if it does happen, and I'm saying also the same thing, that if it does happen, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in sports.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet. So everything that we're talking about right now is speculation.
Sure it is, but the reason why it's speculation is because these guys keep letting it breathe. Rob Saleh let it breathe yesterday. He had every opportunity to shut it down. Guys, we're out of it. He's 40 years old. He popped his Achilles. He's not coming back. It's it. I know he wants to play, but it stinks that we couldn't keep it together for him. It's done. Aaron knows it. We're not going to let him play. As desperately as he wants to play, it's about next year now. We can't risk it. But no, he goes out there and goes, we'll see. Aaron wants to play. So these guys are still doing it. They're still letting it live.
I'm actually sick and tired of talking about it.
Well, it's still a possibility.
Well, we'll see what he tells Pat McAfee today.
Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? Because the window is open until tomorrow. He could do it today. Hey guys, I just would like to tell you, I'm playing on Christmas Eve. I'll see you there. And then Pat McAfee and his whole crew screaming, "I'll see you on Christmas Eve on the field." Maybe he drops that bomb today. What do you think?
No. Nope.
Oh, that would be
something. I think he couches his comeback again. He's been couching it every time he goes on there.
I think he stirs the pot. I think there's a pot stirrer today. Yeah. We got pot stirring today. He's going to let people think that he's going to play at the very least. And if not, maybe he might just come out first thing. Hey, guys, I just want to say something before we get started. I am playing on Sunday.
No, there are certain plateaus.
Playing on Sunday.
There's certain plateaus that I have to reach, and I haven't reached all those plateaus yet.
Right.
Something like that. That's what I think is going to happen, but who knows?
On Christmas Eve, I will be playing football. The day before Jesus was born, football Jesus will take the field against the Commanders.
Football Jesus.
That's what he's going to say.
Okay.
Yep. Miracles.
All right.
Miracles do happen. Miracles do happen.
I can attest to that. 100% miracles do happen, yes.
Right, on Christmas Eve. That's when Casper was born.
That's exactly right.
So there you go.
I know all about miracles.
That's what he's going to say.
But this is a little different story. This is an Achilles.
He's one of the chosen.
He's the chosen one. Okay.
He is. Yep. Think about it. I mean, this is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Christmas Eve, Jesus, Aaron Rodgers, Christmas, Santa Claus, everything. It's going to happen. And Pat McAfee.
We talk about this incessantly, and we have talked about this incessantly for 12 12 weeks.
Yeah, it's called Sports Talk Radio.
Yeah, I know. And
Welcome.
It just drives me crazy because when I show up in the NFL today, I'm being told, well, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers? I'm like, I don't know. I just talked about it for 12 months. He's not coming back. Everybody stop. It's like, no, we got to talk about it. Could be a Jet Christmas present.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Could
the
be.
Jet fan really wants to see Aaron Rodgers
I think they
behind
do.
this offensive line.
I think
by
they
the
do.
way, he got hurt with the number 1 offensive line, let alone the 12th different combination of offensive linemen.
I think Jet fans want to see it. I mean, I'd like to see it just because it would breathe some life into the season that is now dead, but it would be stupid. But, I mean, hey, it's not my Achilles. I already popped mine somehow on the golf course. I don't even know what the hell's going on. I'm walking around here, the hop along, but whatever. We'll find out today what he says. It's Boomer and Gio on the